Hey guys, so let's go ahead and color this guy in. So normally I just make a new layer underneath our line art and I'll label it color, and I'll label this lines. It's a good habit to get into, labeling your layers. Okay, so on the color layer I'm just going to use just a color that I can see well. I'll use a bright red. Actually, I usually use a bright orange. And now basically I just color in the lines. So I'm on a layer below the line art and I'm just going to color this in. I'll speed it up. Okay, so now that I have all of the lines, I can then use my fill here and just make sure everything is filled in. Now, if you're wondering why I don't use the fill like this thing, whoops, I'm on the wrong layer. I don't fill like this for a few reasons. A, because then your color is actually has to be on the same layer as your lines, but also there's all of these artifacts where if you look close, it's not really going into the black as much, and I don't like that. So that's why I just fill the color in behind. I do all the edges. I make sure everything is behind the black. All of my color is behind the black like this, so there's no little white marks. And then I fill that color in. And also what's great about that is now you have you can work with this color. If you wanted to change it, all of that stuff, then you can change it. So let's go ahead and pick a gray for him. I think that's a decent color. Let's see. Make him a little more green. Okay, that's not bad. So he's pretty much colored in, and I'm not going to go too crazy with the details with this guy, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a white eye. So I've just made a new layer below the color layer, and now I'm just going to add white here. And another thing that I always do is, as you can see, the white is, I just made a random white mark here. Stuff on the screen. So what I always do is, since I have the rhino colored in, I'm going to take that layer, the color layer, and I'm going to tap it and hit select. So that selects that color layer, but I can just go back to my layers and then go back to the eye. I'll rename this eye. So I can go back here and it's still selected, so then I can swipe on the screen, 3-finger swipe, and I can do cut, and it'll trim. Now it trims it around the gray. So hopefully that makes sense. And the reason I like to do that is because later on there's some things that I want to do with the eye, and it's better to have it in this eye shape. But we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm going to try to color him in fairly quickly. Otherwise I'll wind up spending all evening on this. So for the lines, I'm going to go ahead and alpha lock the line layer. And then I'm just going to lighten them up. Okay. And it might actually be cool to even change them to a different color. So let's see if I take this color and I sort of, see what happens if we make it sort of greenish color. It's a little too light, so I'm just going to darken it up. So you can change the colors of the lines and see what you get. I think that color looks actually pretty cool. Whatever color this is, sort of like a greenish gray color. I like it. Okay, so we have our line color, we have the color of our rhino. Maybe it needs to be a little darker. Just a touch darker. Okay, I like that. So I want to make the mouth line darker even than that. So maybe even pretty close to black. I'll use a kind of charcoal gray. But I want the mouth line to be black because I want that to stand out among the other lines. So I want that line to be black. So all we have to do is add some shadows. So I'm gonna color pick his regular color, and you know what? Let's go with a deeper green and sort of a bluish color. And I'm gonna hit select. So I just selected the color layer, and now I'm just gonna make a new layer. That shape is still selected. The color shape is still selected. So now let me change the mode to multiply. Multiply, it'll settle the color on top better. So it will sort of maintain this gray color, and colors, if you're doing a shadow, they'll just look better if you have it in multiply. I don't really understand how it works, but it does just make it look better. But play around with it. See what look you like. Okay, so that's what we're working with. I'll lower the opacity to, let's see, 27. I'll make it a little lower. 20. Okay, so the opacity of our new shadow layer, which is above the color layer and below the line layer, and we'll call that shadow. And then we'll just add some shadows. So we'll add one back here for sort of his his body back there. Obviously we're going to add this back leg. And we'll add some to where the little do I want that? It's fine. I have to fight against my constant wanting to do stuff and then change it and then change it again and then change it again. Shout out to everyone who cannot make decisions. So we'll add a shadow here. And we'll add some shadows down the side of his head. Up the arms a little bit. And we'll add one underneath his mouth. The nostrils, and I'll probably make them a little bit darker at a different point. And we'll just do some shadows. What will be underneath the tusk, the horn. And we'll do the same thing here. And we'll also color in this spot that we were talking about. Just a little bit inside these ears. And let's see, what else do we need? I think that's pretty good. This might be cool to kind of experimenting a little bit. I think that looks kind of cool. Add a little more shadow here. Okay. So now I'm just going to play around with that and just make sure that it looks good. So I'm just changing the opacity. I think that looks a bit better. And then I'll see if a different color might look better. I like that. We'll stick with the same color. Okay, so let's give him a little eye. And for the eye, I'm going to go above the eye layer. And we'll just do a little dot here. Make him looking up maybe. Bigger eye. Use a brush that's a little easier. Use graffiti brush. So sometimes it's hard for me to figure out how big you want the eye. Big eye, even bigger eye. But we'll just do a normal eye. A normal circular eye. Okay, so what I was saying before with the eye, so now I'm going to select the eye shape, and I made a new layer right above our little eyeball, and I'm going to change that layer to 30% just to do a little shadow. So I can use the same brush. The layer's at 30%, so I'll just do a little shadow. Yeah, I'm digging that. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like if I'm coloring in things very cartoony, that's pretty much what I do. I'm going to change the colors on the bottom part of his eyes. These little lines here. Whoops. The alpha lock his eye. Just make these a little lighter. And let's give his eyeball a little bit of a highlight. Oops. And then we pretty much have our little cartoon rhino. I like him. I think he came out pretty good. And I know that I said I wouldn't add details, but I mean, since we're here, what details do I want to add? So I'll go a little bit darker. And so there's a lot of details, there's a lot of fun things you can add. He kind of has some sort of wrinkles like that, so that you can add. There's a little line coming off here. I might be able to push the shadow, so I'll just use smudge. I'll push the shadow back here. Kind of shape is, they've got such an interesting head shape. So you can do little things like that. Just kind of look at the reference and just sort of do things like that. You can also, let's see, let's make some things darker. So I'm going to make a similar shadow layer. I'm going to use multiply right above the shadow layer, and I'll make that opacity 40%. And I'm just going to go back to this. I'll use a darker color than the shadow. And now we can just add in things that are a little darker. So there's a lot of fun details you can add in. I'm kind of just having fun with it now, but as you can see, there's a lot that you can do, and I usually have a lot of fun just kind of playing around. And where's my soft brush? I'm going to select this color so I don't color on his eye. You know, sometimes you can use the soft brush and get some effects with that as well. You know, if you really want to like kind of get crazy with it. But there's a lot you can do. I'm going to hold off on the shading because then this video will be hours and hours and hours long, like I've done in the past, and I'm trying not to do them this long. If I do really long videos, I think I might start doing them on Patreon, because I think that's a good place to sort of spend a lot of time and put a lot of effort into a lot of these videos, because sometimes, you know, the videos do well, sometimes they don't, but sometimes I can put like hours and hours in, and I think a Patreon would be pretty cool to start, so I can start getting some donations, because I'd love to be able to just do this full time all the time and just kind of help people and do drawings like this. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you like my little rhino. I think he came out pretty well. Let me go ahead and I'll probably continue to play around with him, but for now I'm gonna end that here. I'm gonna end this video here. As always, it's been a pleasure, so just keep on drawing, and I will definitely see you in the next video. I don't know why I said it like that. That was weird. Oh well. Catch you guys in the next one.